Hello everyone, welcome to Korean Papsang. This time we'll be making bulgogi, sweet and savory Korean barbecue made with thinly sliced tender beef. I'll show you how to make bulgogi to perfection and also to serve it in a way that will get you rave reviews from your family and friends. Let's get started. I have here pre-sliced ribeye rolls from a Korean market. They usually come in frozen. I got this yesterday and kept it in my fridge to defrost. It's very well defrosted. If they're still frozen, they will break easily when you marinate. So first thing I'm gonna do is remove some excess blood from this meat. Pressing it with paper towels. You can skip this step if you want, but Korean cooks do this for nice and clean tasting bulgogi. So if pre-sliced beef is not available to you, you can cut it yourself or find a nice butcher to cut it for you. Obviously, ribeye rolls are the best, but you can use any flavorful tender beef. Okay, I'm going to show you how to slice the beef. So if you're cutting it yourself, make sure that you freeze it a little bit. It took about a couple of hours to freeze, nice and firm, but still sliceable. Obviously, it will just depend on the thickness of your meat. Make sure you always cut the meat against the grain for tenderness. Look how thin you can cut this. Now the marinade. The important thing for the marinade is to find right balance between saltiness and sweetness. Good bulgogi marinade shouldn't be overly salty or sweet, although it can really vary depending on your taste. Let's cut some scallions. Now we need some onion, thinly sliced. Okay, now we're gonna put the marinade together. Soy sauce, 6 tablespoons. Water, 3 tablespoons. And got some rice wine here, mirin. I use a combination of sugar and honey, but you can use all sugar. 2 tablespoons of sugar. Using 2 tablespoons honey here, you can use a little less if you want. And 2 tablespoons of sesame oil. And 2 tablespoons of garlic. So some of you might think that that's a lot of sesame oil and garlic, but this is really what you need for authentic bulgogi marinade. All right, and we're gonna put our vegetables in. Oh, and then some pinchy pepper or 2. Now you mix. So make sure the sugar is dissolved. This is a Korean pear, very big. You can find Asian pears at your normal grocery stores. They tend to be smaller. Pear gives that subtle fruity sweetness to the dish. It also tenderizes the meat, but good ribeye doesn't really need much tenderizing, but I still use it because it really makes difference in taste. If you can't find Korean or Asian pear, simply omit it or use a Basque pear or an apple instead. Although not traditional, kiwi and pineapple are also used, but they have much stronger enzymes and can break down the meat way too much. So be careful with it, use a small amount. And when you put into marinade, try to separate them. Okay, now get in there, mix it all up, gently. So because we separated them, put in a few at a time, you don't have to really work too much to mix everything well. Just toss gently. Thinly sliced tender meat doesn't take long to marinate, so this just needs about 30 minutes to an hour. Obviously, longer is fine too. Bulgogi can be cooked in many ways. It can be grilled over an open flame or just simply pan fried. Here I'm going to show you how to pan fry. Actually, you have two options. This first method, you're not going to crowd the pan, just cook in one layer. You can add some oil here, but I find it okay without it. For this one, you cook it until the meat is slightly caramelized and then flip it over and do the same thing for the other side. The second option is saucy bulgogi. We're gonna crowd the pan a little bit, cook it so that bulgogi generates some liquid. A lot of times Koreans enjoy bulgogi this way with more liquid, saucy bulgogi. You can add other vegetables like sliced mushrooms or carrots. So you can even add your marinade to this to make it a little bit more liquidy. Okay, see how it generates nice sauce? So we're basically done. Let's turn the heat off. Okay guys, remember I told you in the beginning, I'm going to show you a special way to serve bulgogi. This is it, Seoul-style bulgogi. This is how we used to eat bulgogi growing up. You can find one of these at some Korean markets or online. This one I had for a long time, made with a stainless. Got this one. This is a traditional Korean breastware, very heavy and beautiful. For this bulgogi, typically we add starchy noodles. These are japchae noodles, 당면, and some sort of mushrooms. And I have 팽이버섯, enoki mushrooms here, and you can also add garlic chives. But the important ingredient here is the scallions. Some restaurants in Korea serve this type of bulgogi with like tower of shredded scallions. Easiest way to do this is just cut it about 3-4 inches and split it in half and just thinly slice like that. And if you have any piece that's too thick, then just go over it one more time. So this is one way to do it. And this is a large variety of green onions. It's called tepa. So I just wanted to show you, you can also like fold it like that and then do the same thing, just thinly slice. Like this. Soak them in water for a few minutes. It will remove that slimy stuff and make it all really perky and curly. Nice and curly. Now we're ready to cook the meat. For the broth, I'm using dashima broth. That's a dry kelp. And I just seasoned it lightly with a teaspoon of soy sauce. The dome shape allows bulgogi drippings to flow down to the broth, which thickens as the meat cooks. The starchy noodles and the vegetables are so delicious cooked in this sweet and savory sauce. Okay guys, how does that look? Delicious, right? Hope your next bulgogi experience at home is much more delicious and enjoyable. Thank you for watching.
Stay tuned for more recipes from Korean Baksa. Until next time, 안녕히 계세요.